Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on Glutathione Authority. I have Alan Ogden in my kitchen, and it is a beautiful summer day. I mean, spring day. I mean, technically still winter, but almost spring. It is so spectacular. It seems that we've hit a world record.
We did. We broke a record today for temperature.
That is spectacular. It was 21 degrees. Fahrenheit, I don't know what to talk to. You guys are going to have to convert it. We don't do Fahrenheit over here.
It's about 70 degrees.
It just is absolutely spectacular. I feel so blessed to be living in Vancouver at this exact moment. I could change my mind though.
Well, yeah, 2 weeks ago we were pushing snow around, which was really uncharacteristic for that time of year. And not just a little bit of snow. We were pushing snow around, a lot of snow.
Yeah, epic snowstorm.
Epic snowstorm. Then had a heat record today, so it's really awesome. And I am so delighted to be here with Harmony. Harmony, who is my partner in Glutathione Authority. Harmony, who is trained in body energy, body code, emotion code, clinical hypnotherapy. You've just done a lot of stuff.
Thank you very much. And of course, if you guys don't know, Alan Ogden is a phenomenally trained pharmacologist. He has 4 nutritional degrees, a degree in geriatric medicine and energy medicine. So I absolutely am honored to be able to be sitting beside him and for both of us to be able to mix our intellects to support you guys. And I wanted to bring something up since we're doing a TrúKeto checkup. I had somebody talking to me today, and she was asking me about trial results for the TrúKeto. And I had to go and scour Facebook and everything to try to find some results and realize that there really isn't anything succinct for everybody to use to be able to help promote the TrúKeto. So I would like to call out to all of you guys who have been using the TrúKeto and are getting results for you to send us your results. And I'll be able to take all of that and put it together and turn it into maybe some cool infographics or some different things that you guys can use to help educate and promote, and just for, you know, those people that know nothing about the TrúKeto to get a chance to see the great results that people are getting from using it thus far.
Right.
So back to you, Alan, talking about the TrúKeto checkup.
Yeah. Well, we launched TrúKeto second weekend in January, and it's now the second weekend of March. So we've had 60 days. There was a delay in delivery. Some people literally did not get their TrúKeto, depending on where they live on the planet. They've only had their TrúKeto maybe 3-4 weeks. And so I wanted to do a checkup because I fortunately get a lot of conversation around TrúKeto. I get the people that are really, really excited. They've had tremendous results. And I also get the people who are wondering what on earth they're doing wrong. So I have some observations. I just want to share these observations with people. Observation number 1 is this. Somehow, there was a sheet that was put out. It was called Getting in the Zone. TrúKeto, Getting in the Zone. And if you haven't read that sheet, you need to read that sheet. It actually tells you how to begin to get TrúKeto into your body and into your lifestyle. So I'll just go through it really quick. It tells you that the first 2 or 3 days, you just get up in the morning, you take your TrúKeto. You make no dietary adjustments really. Then you start to cut back your carbs. So just cut your carbs in half. So for instance, if you're having 2 slices of toast for breakfast, have 1. If you're having a sandwich for lunch, just have the bottom part of the sandwich. Have half the bread. Now, a lot of people, I've found, really don't know what constitutes a carbohydrate or what can contribute to carbohydrate or glucose in your body. So any of your starches. So there's people that have missed the point that rice is basically it's a sugar. Rice breaks down to sugar in your body. Rice is very quick sugar. As a matter of fact, whiter rice, the more sugar, the faster it turns into sugar. Brown rice can delay, but it still turns into sugar. Things like gnocchi, that's another thing. It's a pasta. that people make.
It's a potato pasta.
It's a potato pasta.
It's not regular pasta. It's made of potatoes. So very starchy.
Very starchy. Starch, as soon as saliva hits starch, boom, it breaks down into glucose in your body.
Gnocchi is delicious. It's Scott's favorite pasta. I actually never had it until I dated Scott, and he was like, I love gnocchi, and then I tried it. I was like, oh no, one more thing I get to avoid and have maybe once in a blue moon.
That's right. Especially when you go someplace and they hand make it.
Oh. I know a restaurant not too far away that does.
Yeah, and it's so good. Things like pierogies, things like dumplings.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And so my note here is just keep in mind that we're not just looking for sugar. We're looking for carbohydrates and things that turn into sugar immediately in your body or contribute to the overall sugar intake.
Fruits, and also be aware of the fact that certain vegetables also are more sugary than others, like carrots.
Carrots are very sugary.
And we went on, Scott and I, when was it? Over the holidays? Yeah, it was before Christmas. We did a little bit of just a ketosis diet without having access to the product. And we had to eliminate certain colored peppers. So, you can't have carrots, but we were only allowed to have green and yellow peppers, was that, honey? Can't have orange and red because they're more sugary. So take a look at, if you really want to get super strict about it, take a look at the vegetables and which ones are more sugary than other, because vegetables are carbs.
Yes, they have GI, it's what's called a GI index, a glycemic index. Glycemic meaning it contributes to the overall level of sugar in your body. And so that's where a lot of people have, I'm going to just say missed that. And they said, well, I'm not, I've cut out chocolate, or I've cut out cookies, I've cut out some pastries. All those are good things, but you really need to sort through your food and remember that there's about 200 names for sugar as well. So we're looking for glucose, we're looking for
fructose, which is in fruit.
Yeah, in fruit. We're looking for a high fructose corn syrup, syrups. If it says syrup of any kind, I read a thing just recently on agave syrup, which they're now discovering actually contributes to the glycemic index in your body. So if it says syrup, chances are real good that's going to turn into sugar in your body. So the other thing that I think, if you're not having results, you really need to keep a food diary just for 2 or 3 days and be honest with yourself. Write down everything that you eat. And then if you don't know what those things are, just have somebody actually have a look at it. So I had a gal, and she was doing her best, really seriously. She was very serious about losing her weight. And she sent me her list of foods for the day and why she was eating them. So she was having oatmeal for breakfast. Now, oatmeal is kind of on the edge because oatmeal can be very slow carbs. However, when it's mixed in with a lot of other carbs, and once again, we're trying to lower the ignition of the sugar burning mechanism in your body. So
if you're truly going to ketosis, you should be eliminating oatmeal, I would say. And then on top of that, it's really important to take a look. If you're after 35, older than 35, you can actually have an inflammatory response to certain foods, like salmon. And almonds, oatmeal, and almond. Yeah. So be aware that if you are past the age of 35 years old, test certain foods to see if oatmeal and salmon and certain foods that you would think would be good, you have an inflammatory response to. Because if you do, you actually want to eliminate it from your diet while you're trying to release weight.
Well, yeah, because I was just going to mention this gal. She had almonds for a snack in the afternoon. When we eliminated the almonds, she lost 3 pounds overnight.
Yeah.
And then I said, so a couple of days later, first day with my new tongue.
Yeah, totally.
A couple of days later, she added almonds back in. She took her handful of almonds. She gained 6 pounds.
Whoa.
That day. That's how inflammatory almonds were to her.
So she clearly has an inflammatory response.
Right. So that's...
most people is totally fine.
Most people are totally fine. So it could be something, if you're not getting results, it could be that you really haven't looked at carbohydrates and really scrutinized your diet to see what's contributing to the sugar, the amount of sugar that you're eating. And remember that we're trying to get your sugars down somewhere between 75 and 20 to 75 grams a day. Now, if you're a high-intensity athlete, if you're out there really working out, yes, you could probably do 150 grams of sugar a day. But you need, this is just to, it's like lighting the pilot light. So what TrúKeto will go do is light the pilot light, but you need to fuel that pilot light. So if you've ever lit a pilot light on a furnace or a fireplace or a camp stove or something, you know that you have to hold the pilot light on for a particular period of time in order to get the gas burning, the propane, whatever it is, burning. And so TrúKeto's coming in and it's turning on the pilot light. Now what you need to do is fuel that with fats, good fats, some proteins, and take away the sugar, because sugar is like wind to the pilot light. It's really what it is. It blows the pilot light out. And so if that makes sense to you. So what we're trying to do for the first week of your diet is we're trying to get this pilot light not only lit, we're trying to get it lit and then get the big burner lit so that you're actually converting your fats into energy, taking those fat stores. For each person, it's going to require a little bit of finesse. So like you mentioned, peppers, red, the darker the pepper in color, the more ripe it is. And the more ripe, as you know with a banana, if you get an unripened banana, they don't taste as good. That's because they don't have as much sugar. If you get a really ripe banana, it's very sweet. So it's actually really kind of not really nice to eat because it's mushy and it's gone to sugar. It's basically gone to sugar. So just be, and we need to encourage you to be food wise. Now, that's sort of number one. And I would say that's 80% of the people who are not getting the results that they wanted with TrúKeto. They're not making dietary changes, or they just haven't given the pilot light that time, space and time where, hey, I'm going to eliminate carbs as much as I can and give this a chance to really turn on my fuel burning. Because what we're trying to do with TrúKeto is actually reset your metabolism so that you can go out and enjoy life. You can have carbs and it's not going to bother you until you eat, start eating 300-400 grams of carbs a day, and then it's going to, because your body's never made, our bodies were never made to have that much. As a matter of fact, real processed sugar, our body, the average 100 years ago was 20 grams annually. Annually, 20 grams. That's 4 teaspoons. 4 of these annually is what we would have. And now a child in America has 34 of these before they go to school every day. 34 a day. So from 20 grams annually to 34 a day. So our body was not designed for that much sugar at all. So if you're doing that and you really are bearing down on your diet, you've eliminated sugar and you're still not getting results, there is some other things that could be going on that we need to look at.
Before you go to the next thing,
yep,
I want to ask that, or there's a question about the sugar.
Sure.
Will taking ACV with 1/8 of a teaspoon of turmeric help reduce the sugar in my body? This is from Bill Walsh. Do you know what ACV is? Is that a particular product?
Taking ACV.
Bill Walsh, what's ACV? Because that's a good question.
Oh, activated charcoal, maybe?
Activated charcoal?
Some people take activated charcoal.
I don't know.
Help us.
Yeah, help us out.
So
Tell us what ACV stands for,
thing.
because I don't want to guess the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is apple cider vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
Apple cider vinegar is more for your acid balance than it is for...
Yeah, although it's a really appropriate question, Bill, because apple cider vinegar has been touted to reduce the amount of sugar in your body. I don't really know that that's a clinical thing. I think that's more of a, it can maybe help you reduce sugars because it increases digestion. When you're putting the acid into your stomach, you're actually increasing the body's ability to absorb other nutrients. So it's not really a direct effect. Actually, cayenne pepper would work better with turmeric is okay too.
The best way to go about it, though, essentially, is just not to consume the sugar.
Yeah.
I have a great friend whose father had diabetes, and he would consume all the sugar, and then he would just, take the insulin to balance it. And it only took about 1.5 years for him to pass.
Yeah.
So trying to counterbalance the amount of sugar that you're taking into your body with something else isn't necessarily, it's like eating really healthy on weekdays and then going on a beer and pizza binge on the weekend.
That doesn't work.
It didn't really work for my friend. He was overweight. In his mind, he thought if he was good those 5 days and then the other 2 he just went to town, it balanced out. But it doesn't really work out that way. So just try to for this to really work, really, really limit that sugar intake. And I want to make a quick point before Alan moves on to the next thing, because I was talking to my girlfriend about this, who was asking me about the product. And she was saying, do I have to be on a ketosis diet in order for this to work? Because I eliminate most carbs, but I really like my complex starches. And I said, what I really want you to understand is the fact that your body uses sugar as a source of energy. Okay, so if it has access to sugar, it is going to use that as a source of energy, and it will not go into ketosis and use your fat stores as energy because it already has easy access to something. So in order to assist your body going, I'm starving, I need energy, and going to the fat stores, it needs to not have another source of energy that it has easy access to. So we need to severely reduce the amount of sugar that it's taking in so that it can't use it. And then it's going to go, I need energy, I need energy. And then because of the TrúKeto doing the amazing stuff that it's doing, it's going to easily support your body, flicking the switch into ketosis and then utilizing its fat stores.
Yeah.
But we have to support our body and the TrúKeto doing its job, getting the body to go to the fat stores for energy source. If you're using sugar, or if you're consuming sugar all the time, it's just going to go, I'm not doing it.
Well, you're going to gain weight.
It takes more work for the body to utilize fat stores and convert it into energy than it does for it to utilize sugar. So it's everything that Alan is saying is incredibly important, but I just want you to understand the mechanism and how exactly that's working so that you can think, this is how I'm going to support the product working. I'm going to help, the body's going to go in one direction on the path, or it's going to go, it's like a maze. You want to head it over in this direction, the ketosis direction.
Yeah, listen, I had another lady and she's gained 6 pounds. And so when I looked at her dietary intake, which she was eating healthy. I just want you to know she was eating really healthy, but she wasn't eating anything. What she was eating was really healthy, but she was trying to combine dieting and ketosis. And this is a really gigantic problem for your body, because when you go down below a certain level of calories, your body automatically goes into starvation mode. When you're lower than your basal metabolic rate, in other words, so the average person needs about 1,200 calories a day just to run our body. So we need a little less at night, but we need a little more in the daytime. So it averages out to about 1,200 calories a day just to keep our body running. So this lady was eating a beautiful diet of vegetables and protein and so on, and when we added it up, it was about 800 calories. So she was taking her TrúKeto and she was eating her diet, and I said to her, you know what, you're not eating enough calories. Your body is going to gain weight. So it was actually, and that was her challenge, is that she was doing this and she gained weight because she doesn't have enough calories to fuel fat burn. Harmony said this before, it takes energy for your body to burn fat. So one of the mistakes that people make is that they go, okay, I'm going to go on this TrúKeto diet, and they cut their calories back. And the idea is not to cut your calories, it's just to replace sugar calories with really good fat and protein calories. So we upped this lady's diet. We actually doubled the amount of food that she was eating in the day, because she was at 800 and what she was doing in the day, and she was getting headaches and she was feeling bad, and of course you're not getting enough calories to sustain just your metabolic function. And so the TrúKeto would burn off very quickly. It would actually get stored as fat, And a lot of the other things she was eating would just, your body was actually going into an inflammatory reaction is what it was doing. It was holding on to everything. She was drinking lots of water, and so her body was holding water, which most of that weight she gained would be water. But her caloric count was just not high enough. So mistake or challenge number 2 is not eating enough. So you need to look at what it is that you would, 1,200, you're going to need 1,200 plus something in order to sustain and lose weight. So if you're a great big guy who needs to lose 100 pounds, you still are going to need to eat 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day. And if you don't do that, if you cut your calories way back, you might have some temporary weight loss, but your body will very quickly go into this mode of I'm not getting enough to fuel fat burn. So when I can't fuel my fat burn, the message from my brain is danger, danger, hang on to everything. I'm not getting enough calories to sustain. I'm going to be in storage mode. So that's challenge number 2, is not eating enough. So taking TrúKeto, looking at your dietary intake of sugars, and taking the calories that you're eating in sugar and replacing that with good fats and protein. That's really the program in a nutshell that we want you to go on. Now, if you've done that, and this is scenario number 3 that I've dealt with. So I would say 80% of the people whose questions I've answered have not made any dietary changes at all. That's not fair to their body. In the second one, they've made some dietary changes, but they're too radical. They've gone too low. They've gone on a diet as well as taking their TrúKeto, and that doesn't work very well. There is a third category of people, and I would say 99 category, and I'm going to call them the busy mom category. So you're under a lot of stress. You're trying to lose weight to look good. You're trying to manage your weight, all of those kinds of things. And you really need adrenal support. So what happens in our body is when we're under constant stress and we don't have time to take a break, get a rest, give our body support that way, we continue to pump out cortisol. Our adrenals fatigue. Our thyroid starts to try to make up for that. Generally speaking, a lot of these women might be on a thyroid medication because your adrenals have been fatigued, your thyroid's now fatiguing because it's trying to make up for the adrenal glands, but you're pumping out cortisol. When you pump out cortisol, you pump out insulin. And when you do that combination, your body's in fat storage mode. That is a stress response. So what do we do in that case? We support the adrenal glands. There's a product that we've never displayed here because I don't think Harmony and I, either of us, have used it. It's called Leafta. Leafta is an adrenal support product.
Yep.
And you need to get something like Leafta and start taking it and support your adrenals. And ladies, most of you ladies need to do that anyway. If you're a busy mom, raising kids, running a household, running a business, trying to build a business on the side and do all the things that you do as a lady in today's society, if you're not under adrenal fatigue, you are in a very rare category. I would say the majority of women that are in their late 30s, early 40s are at some stage of adrenal fatigue. And they first notice it because, well, they're tired, but they first notice the weight. They first start with the weight loss struggle. And that's the first sign, really. So Harmony, is coming up on 40 here in the next decade.
What? I thought it was 14.
Sometime in the next decade, she'll be 40. And so, right, if she was a working lady running her household like she does, doing all the things she does.
I don't do that. Look at these nails. I don't do anything. Everybody does all the work for me.
Right. She would be gaining weight and she would be frustrated. And it would be just a result of lifestyle, not food. Food's part of it. But she could eat as healthy as she wanted to. But your food choices at that time in your life cannot override this thing. And now here's what women will generally do. They'll start to gain weight, they'll join a gym. That has minor benefit in managing your weight. At that stage, it has minor benefit. You would be better off to do some, like I do, 9 minutes of high intensity exercise, 3 minutes, 3 times a day. Doesn't get in the way of any schedule. I use bands for working out 5 or 10 minutes every once in a while during the day. The reason that I do that is I went through adrenal fatigue. I actually went through adrenal fatigue, renal failure, and kidney failure, liver failure, and I was so totally stressed out. It was just a stress reaction. So when you're in that situation, probably one of the contributing factors to weight gain or not being able to lose weight is exercise. Exercise, like going to the gym, going for an hour and a half. I have a friend right now, she's 32 years old. She just joined Orange Theory. She was just all pumped about, I'm going to go and kill myself at these workouts, which she's doing. She is not losing any weight. And when I explained to her that she's not likely to lose even an ounce, she may even gain weight because she's going to put on some lean muscle mass, which is heavier than fat.
Yep.
She might gain weight because her life does not allow rest. There's no time in her life to rest. And she's added a further stress by adding the gym into that. Now, once again, I'm not saying don't exercise. I think it's just finding different ways to exercise and doing something like I do, which 3 minutes, 3 times a day, and using some bands. 3 minutes, 3 times a day, by the way, of high-intensity interval training is equivalent to an hour and 20 minutes of running in the gym. So it's a very efficient way to get exercise.
Can I interject?
Yeah, sure. Of course.
One of the things that I would say that is one of the absolute best things that you can do for your stress levels that has been scientifically proven to lower your stress is to get out in nature. I totally had a stressful day today, and I was totally full of anxiety as a result of, stuff that happened. And my son and I went out for a walk, and I went out in nature, and we were out there for probably about an hour and a half. And when I came back, I was in an absolutely fantastic mood, and all we did was walk.
Yeah.
You go out amongst the trees, and it literally, the trees talk to each other, and it literally does de-stress you. There's an amazing scientist that is actually doing research on how the mushrooms in the fungi and stuff like that in the ground and everything literally communicates when you tread in the forest, and it has this whole system throughout the whole forest, and the whole forest is aware of your presence and literally sends healing energy to you. It is unbelievable, and I know this sounds woo juju, but it's not. It's science. And so if you're really stressed out, take a break from the kids, get the oldest kid to look after the younger ones, and go and even just take a half an hour and get out in nature. And I dare you to tell me that you don't feel way better when you get back in the house.
One of the coolest things, we had some grandkids out here for 5 days, and one of the coolest things I did with our granddaughter, she's 4, and she goes to riding lessons, horse riding lessons. And
on a Shetland pony.
On a
it's
Shetland.
so cute.
Yeah, it is so cute.
Oh, I've seen the videos.
Yeah, it's really cute. So in Vancouver, we have, the Vancouver Police Department has a mounted patrol unit. And so what I did is I took her to the barns. So that was our walk. We actually got on the bus and rode the bus over to as close to the barns as we could, and then we walked through the Rose Garden in Stanley Park, for anybody who's familiar with where I live, Stanley Park Rose Garden. And at the far side of the Rose Garden, the north end of the Rose Garden, is where the stables are. And you can go in there, it's all good, they enjoy having people come. And we went on a Saturday, and it was so cool because it happened to be the trainer was there. She's not usually there on a Saturday, but somebody needed to change a shift, and so she was there. So we literally met every one of the horses. They all have their own badge. I don't know if you know that, but every horse has its own badge.
That's cute.
It's police badge, it's police badge number. And they love kids. So these horses are huge because they're Clydesdale. Yeah. One of them is a Clydesdale stallion mix, so he's really big and really fast. Seriously, his hoof is the size of a dinner plate. And what was so cute is, here's little Maggie, this tall, well, as tall as this table, about, and here's this horse who's like 21 and 22 hands or something high, and he would lean his head down, and if Maggie wouldn't pet him, so here's this great big horse, like this horse's head is huge, down to this little girl, like, pet me, and if she wouldn't, he'd smack his hoof against the boards on the gate, boom, 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 till she would pet him, and then she'd start to pet him, and he would quit banging his hoof. So,
it's his like gentle way of not, because if he was to do anything to encourage her, he'd probably throw her across the room.
yeah, totally.
So he's just like,
Boom,
I'm just
boom,
gonna
boom.
hit this and let her know that I want snuggles.
So it's so funny because as soon as she'd stop, boom, boom, and she got it. Like, oh, he wants that. So his name's Tex. If you ever go down there, his name's Tex. He's what a beautiful horse. But here's what happened. So, a little 4-year-old who doesn't generally nap during the day, we went to the park. We saw the horses. We had a little walk in the park, went to the playground, and she said to me, Grandpa, can we go home? I think I need a nap. Now, that generally doesn't happen with kids that are 4 and 5 years old. They're not into napping any longer, but it's because we had been out in nature, and she'd been with the horses, and we'd been in that environment. So we got on the bus again, and we came home, and she had something to eat, and then she lay down. She had like an hour and a half nap, which is just so unusual for her to do. And it was so peaceful. She was just it was so relaxed. You know how kids can be really excited but when she was in that horse barn, she was like so calm. And the horses are they're amazing. They're amazing. You think about these horses, they are going completely against their nature. That's what they're trained. They call it nuisance training.
Nice. And
the trainer made a joke about that. She said, here we call it nuisance training, out there they just call it marriage. But, anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's really fantastic because if you guys think about it, on a beautiful summer day when you go out and you spend all day outside getting fresh air, just remember how wiped you are at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's really, we really do tend to spend a majority of our time indoors when the weather is not as good. But if you bundle up and you get yourself out there and you breathe some fresh air, even for 20 minutes to half an hour, you will be surprised at how much it really de-stresses you, and it'll really, really support your adrenals, which is what you need. Like it's about finding exercises and things that you can do. And for those of you that are mothers, I would highly suggest that you find yourself a little sanctuary, a little space that you can go when it's a disgusting rainy day and you really don't want to go outside and you need a little bit of space, so that you can meditate, so that you can pray, so that you can have a bath, whatever it is. One of the lovely ladies who's actually on right now, Emily, she's my niece and nephew's stepmom, and we call her Emu, and she's fantastic. She gave me a little tour of the new place that they moved into, and they're in a beautiful place called White Rock, and it's right on the ocean, so she gets to breathe fresh air by the ocean on a regular basis. She's very lucky. But in her space, she's got a little room. And this little room she's turned into a meditation yoga space. And so that's the place, and they've got 2 kids that they're raising, and she works a full-time job. She's running a business with her father, and so she's incredibly run off her feet. And this little space that she's got to go to, that's her space. It's her room, and it's beautiful, and she's decorated it really nicely, and she goes there to get her quiet time. And nobody bothers her there. And since she committed to doing that, she said how much it really, really helps her stress levels. And it's absolutely fantastic. So whatever that looks like for you, whether it's creating a little meditation space or taking a time out to have a bath or going and getting a walk, if you're really having a difficult time and it's adrenal fatigue that you're dealing with, the best that you can possibly do is do things that are going to relax you and slow your mind down, possibly to the point where there's even no thoughts. Good luck, women. But just slow yourself down and literally take a time out. And then children know that when you're in that bath or when you're in that meditation room, they're not allowed to bother you. For 20 minutes, that's mommy time. Go watch a show.
Yeah. So, what's interesting is when I got my first independent drugstore, I worked for Shoppers Drug Mart first, which is a big chain. But when I got my first independent drugstore, I bought it from a gentleman. I was the 3rd owner of this store. It started in 1901, and it had a lot of history. Actually, we donated everything out of the basement of that store to the Alberta Government Provincial Museum so they could set up an actual old-time drugstore. We had everything they needed, bins of herbs and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And so his thing was, he'd been a pharmacist for many years, and his thing was, he would go into his office and he'd close the door, and when the door was closed, he was having a nap. And every day he would go have a nap. And so when I took over the store, I'm a young guy, you know, I'm like full of energy and whatever. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And so I said to him one day, you know, how long have you been doing that? And he said, well, ever since I owned the store. He said, listen, if the world can't get along without me for 20 minutes, I'm doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And, or I'm doing something wrong. And so he would literally take a nap for 20 minutes. And it was so funny because his client, his patients all knew. They'd come in, they looked, the door was closed. His name was Lou. Lou's having his nap, I'll come back later. And, you know, I adopted that practice, actually. After a while, I actually adopted that practice. I had 3 stores and a couple hundred staff. And when I was in the office, I'd go in, close the door, I'd have my nap.
Nice.
I'd take a nap. And you needed it. You know, 15, 20-minute nap can do wonders for you, especially, you know, where my stores were, it was winter most of the year. And at least it seemed like most of the year. But just to have that break, and that's something that I learned from him. And he lived a long time. He died when he was 96, that gentleman.
That's
actually,
a good long life.
All of my mentors in pharmacy, it's kind of interesting. When my first mentor, Mr. Walker, he turned 90, and he went to participate in this study at the University of Alberta. And he didn't like how they were doing the study, so he took over the study, to run the study. And he would drive in 60 miles into Edmonton to the University of Alberta.
Wow.
At 90, and like he ran that study for 2 years. And he passed away at 93, and Lou passed away at 96. And yeah, I've had some really great mentors in that. And that's one of the key secrets. Mr. Walker used to take a break all the time as well. He would literally have a time in his day when you couldn't find him, nobody could find him. He was up in his office, he was having a nap. So that was a secret they learned. So just that little bit of space of time. So, but we were talking about adrenal fatigue, and it's very, very common. Ladies, extremely common. If you are stuck and you think you are doing everything right, you're taking your TrúKeto, you've cut your carbs back, you're doing everything right, and you're working out really hard, I'm going to suggest that you not work out as hard. I'm going to suggest that you look at your calorie count, and I'm going to suggest that you look at supporting your adrenals. Adrenal fatigue is the first thing that happens. Thyroid, Hashimoto's, all that stuff, all is a result of stressed out adrenal glands. That's where it starts. So if we want to reverse Hashimoto's, we want to help our thyroid, we want to do all those things, we have to go back to where it starts, supporting the adrenals.
And Deborah said, Lifta.
Lifta, yes.
And I want you guys to also understand too that immunity is a really great product for you to be taking, because if you're dealing with inflammation, stress creates inflammation, and adrenal malfunction is a symptom of inflammation.
Yeah.
So Lifta is really good, but immunity is integral. So if you're on the path of releasing weight and you want the TrúKeto to work, and also understand that the physical barrier that you've created is also inflammation.
Yeah, that's
right?
it. Yes, all that.
So the best thing that you can possibly do to assist your TrúKeto weight release process is to be making sure that you're taking immunity. And if you are dealing with adrenal fatigue, which I would consider somebody to be compromised in that state, right? If you're completely healthy, take 1 a day. But if you've got adrenal fatigue, if you've got extreme stress, if you're feeling, drained, whatever's going on, double dose. Take 2,
yeah.
Right?
I like what you said there, because I think it's so true, and we can probably kind of wrap up with this, but when you look down and you see all of whatever it is that you see that you don't like, a lot of that, I know we think it's body fat, but a lot of us carry a lot of inflammation from stress hormones in our body. Our bowel literally can just blow up. This is one of the most amazing things. Like when I was back in university and working with bodies and working, I was always, like you think of somebody who gets an insect bite, like a bee sting, And all of a sudden, their face or they're swole. Like, where did that all come from?
Yeah.
It wasn't like they poured more water in, right? That inflammatory response. You think about 22 feet of bowel that is somewhat inflamed from either food choices or stress or whatever it is. 22 feet. Just think of that bee sting or a mosquito bite that swells up like that. Now think of that. 22 feet long, like this lady with her almonds, gaining 6 pounds overnight. That is literally all inflammation. It took her 3 to 5 days actually to get rid of just that response. And now that she knows what it is, of course she won't eat almonds again, and she looks for almonds in everything because it can cause that. But just, I think we sometimes, we're being hard on ourselves for something that doesn't exist. We're saying, look at how fat I am, instead of looking how inflamed. Look at how inflamed I am, and what am I eating or what am I doing that could be causing that amount of inflammation in my body?
Yeah.
Now, you can have body fat as well, because our body will store fat when it's in an inflamed state. It will store fat, but I think we need to understand that, going through our food and choosing foods that we quite often, the foods we really, really, really love, unfortunately, can be the ones that can be inflammatory. So that's where you start to look for inflammatory foods. Look for something that you really, really, really love. And chances are that's something that might be causing inflammation in your body. But anyway.
So backtracking, I want to just go over, this stuff again so that everybody really has it in their mind. And maybe I'll do a little infographic for this because I think it'd be really good. But really think about the different things that are essentially getting in your way. Remember, we really, really need to remember that sugar is an energy source. It is an easy energy source, the easiest. So our body is going to instantly utilize sugar. So in order to assist our body to go into ketosis and utilize the fat stores as energy. So we need to remember that our body needs energy to convert the fat stores into energy, but we also need to remove a easy source of energy in order for our body to turn the fat stores into energy. So remember to really reduce your sugar intake. And it's really, really easy to figure this out. Google ketosis diets. There's lots of food suggestions and stuff like that for ketosis. Yeah. So it's really, really easy to remember that. And for those of you, number 2 is the caloric intake, right? Yeah. One of the big things that obviously most people do, and we've been programmed to do this for a really, really long time, is reduce calories. This is another way that we're getting in our way. So remember to be taking, for women it's about 1,200 calories, for men it's about 1,800 calories per day. Be taking that in minimum. And then think about the type of calories that you're consuming. So don't get the little special K, cookies that are 100 calories. It's still junk food. It's still sugar.
It's still sugar, yeah.
So don't think about buying the stuff that's lower caloric intake. Think about eating live, whole foods and eliminate fructose, the sugar. Remember that vegetables are carbs and it's going to convert into sugar in your body. So eliminate the high sugar stuff. And you want to make sure that you're getting a lot of protein. Snap peas and sugar peas and zucchini. We make really, really great cauliflower rice and cauliflower mashed potatoes. Mm-hmm. And it is so amazing, you guys. And we actually don't use dairy in it at all. It's really amazing because Scott boils it and then puts it, he drains it and then actually keeps the liquid that the cauliflower was boiled in and then puts the water back in and then mashes it up. And you wouldn't even know the difference. If you give it to your kids, they wouldn't even know the difference from that mashed potatoes. It's amazing, amazing. So I've actually bought a few myself. There's some really great paleo cookbooks out there and stuff because it is all the rage. Paleo and ketosis diets are actually quite similar. So you can play around and look at ketosis diets and paleo diets and it'll kind of give you some really great ideas and recipes for things that you can make. Number 3 is the busy woman syndrome, busy mom syndrome. And for all of you guys, remember that you really want to make sure that you are potentially double dosing on your immunity, to support the inflammatory response of being in a high stress lifestyle. And please, you beautiful goddesses, make sure that you're taking a time out for yourself and give yourself some love every single day. Give yourselves a time out. 20 minutes in the bath, meditating, praying, in nature. I don't care what you do. Just honor yourself and give yourself space, because I want you all to remember, I have to tell my clients this. You are serving others better when you serve yourself first. Create a life in service of yourself so that you can have an abundance of love and energy for those around you. Most of us serve everybody else, and then we crumble and fall. And then we get our energy back, and then we go do it again, and then crumble and fall. So serve yourself first. It's really, really important. Is there anything else that you wanted to add? Because I want to look up a question that I want to...
Okay. No, that's a really good summary. And the LIFTA will help. If you're struggling with Hashimoto's, or you're struggling with some other... And if you have a chronic inflammatory disease of some kind, like MS or whatever, you're trying to lose weight, remember that's where this looking at yourself and understanding that you're carrying a lot of inflammation, not body fat, comes from. And so getting to using immunity for the inflammatory response, reducing that inflammatory response will make you thinner, make you feel better, and make you thinner. So I think we've really covered. So somebody had a question?
Yeah, Darren, he actually said that he probably wasn't going to be able to make it, though I did see you come on, Darren, so you did make it. He was saying that I know somebody that has chronic fatigue syndrome, and I just wanted to know if glutathione would help with this. It seems to be an inflammatory issue, and it's really amazing because it speaks to exactly what we were talking about. Chronic fatigue syndrome and adrenal fatigue, same. It's pretty much, right? So it is all essentially symptoms of inflammation. So in a scenario like this, and I did comment on it, the best thing that you could possibly do is double dose on your immunity and give yourself the support. And then I also did say, as a secondary suggestion, and I will double check this with the Glutathione Authority, but the ProBeta is the amino acid combination that you've got there is absolutely fantastic. And remember that there is tryptophan in there. And if you chew on one of those before you go to sleep, it does assist you in being able to get a good night's sleep. So I typically consume 2 of the ProBeta a day, and I'll have 1 in the morning to start my day to get that protein, because it helps your body when it's essentially your body spikes in cortisol to wake up. It's kind of like a mini fight or flight response, right? So understanding that, to balance my cortisol in the morning, I take a collagen protein chew, and then it just balances that out. And then at night before I go to sleep, I typically finish with a chocolate ProBeta, and then that is going to assist my body again now getting a really nice sleep at nighttime. So those 2 products are absolutely fantastic, and then possibly even the LIFTA would be good too.
Yeah. So I know one of the questions I get asked all the time, or one of the comments that people will make, is like, wow, I'm using TrúKeto, I'm using immunity, LIFTA, but this is really costing me a lot of money. I like when you look at the other programs that are out there, Jenny Craig, all the other programs, they cost a lot of money. They all cost a lot of money. If you go to Dr. Bernstein here in Vancouver, it's almost, to do their program, is close to $1,000 a month. And they're not, I mean, you will lose weight, but they will leave, once you've lost your weight, you're still paying $400 or $500 a month for a maintenance program. And people can be on that for up to 3 to 4 years before they ever get their weight under control. And so, we're talking something where, you might be doing this, getting your inflammation under control is going to cause your body to feel smaller, just because that water is going to let go, and your tissues are going to function better. Having something like the arginine from the ProBeta, which helps your cardiovascular system relax, so you get better blood flow, blood pressure goes down, all those kinds of things. These things all work together to bring you into a better state of health. And better state of health, better state of mind, better ability to go out and make money. And when you have the results, remember that you can literally, if you're using these products, there is a way to get them for free. We're not going to talk about that in our event here, but there is a way you can get them for free. So that's really inexpensive if you want to look at it that way.
That's true. And Emily, the lovely emu that we were talking about, she was saying that zucchini noodles are fantastic. And I know she likes to make a homemade pesto with that as well. And it's a really, really good idea. You can get a spiralizer as cheap as $10. And you can make some zucchini pasta, and that eliminates carbs right there. And it's absolutely fantastic. So there's cauliflower rice, there's cauliflower mashed potatoes, and then there's zucchini pasta. There's lots of great natural ways that you can replace your carbs and still feel like you're having a pasta dish, or you're having rice. And I actually have these really great blue flower tea that tints, it actually dyes my my rice, my cauliflower rice. So I have blue rice. I have lots of fun with it. Valerie, thank you so much for joining us, Valerie Fletcher. I just wanted to mention her comment before we let you guys go. She said, I released 8 pounds in 10 days taking TrúKeto and following the keto way of eating. I'm tracking my macros with an app. That's a really great suggestion. Thank you. Also, I began to couch to 5K in my 3rd week and feeling amazing. I think that was supposed to be walk or something. Couch to 5K.
Well, maybe coach.
No. Oh, okay. Oh, coach. Oh, coach to 5K. Yeah. That's what it is. Okay, so you're running. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Got it. No keto flu at all. No headaches at all, which I can be prone to. Now, we were talking about this really quickly. I just want to touch base on that. Why it is that people generally tend to get the headaches and the keto flu kind of symptoms, and why typically you wouldn't get that with this product.
Well, you get them when you go on just a straight keto diet and you try to eliminate sugar from your diet without the triggering mechanism to burn fat. Your brain goes crazy because it's addicted to sugar. So you're actually trying to overcome an addiction at the same time as you're trying to, change your meal plan. And that's one of the real keys of TrúKeto is TrúKeto does trigger fat burn right away, and your brain is actually 38% more efficient at burning fat. So you don't get the headache, you don't get the flu symptoms, you don't get all that stuff. If you are getting a stomach ache or if you are getting diarrhea, take your TrúKeto in the afternoon. It's fine. You can do that. Take it 2 hours after meal. Some people, they're just not, their body isn't prepared in the morning to do it. There's nothing wrong with the product. It'll work later in the day. So yeah, that's why you don't get it, is you get the fat burn. Once you have that fat burn, it takes the craving away in your brain. That's where it's happening. It's your brain that's actually craving the sugar.
Yeah.
If it's not getting it, it gives you a headache, makes you dizzy. Dizzy makes you nauseous, all that kind of stuff.
Because sugar is essentially a drug.
Sugar is a drug. It's 5,000 times more addictive than heroin.
And really amazing. Thank you so much. Rick said we made jambalaya and used riced cauliflower instead of rice. It was delicious. Oh. I'd love that recipe. That sounds really cool. Thank you so much. And Emily said, we love food processing pesto. I did a sun-dried tomato kale pesto the other night. That sounds delicious.
But, there is so much information and so many people that have adopted this kind of lifestyle. There is just endless recipes now.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me is a few years ago, I was really criticized harshly for doing a ketosis diet, even though the results were tremendous. Mm-hmm. Now, you have so many medical professionals. You've got Dr. Mark Hyman, who's from Cleveland Clinic.
Yep.
Dr. Perlmutter from Florida. These are guys that are in the area of brain health, and they're falling over themselves. You've got Professor Tim Noakes from Australia, who's been hammering on this. He was a severe diabetic, and he's overcome his diabetes. He's got a whole program on how to reverse type 2 diabetes. Now we have a gentleman in the United States who has just brought out, it's called his Platinum Program for reversing Alzheimer's using a keto diet. So this is not going to go away. This is not a fad or a trend. It's not going to go away. This is going to be something that I believe we finally got on the right track after being 40 years on a completely wrong track, or maybe it's even longer, that we shouldn't eat fat and we should just eat sugar. Yeah, that was just the craziest thing.
The other thing too that is really amazing to mention is that the whole reason that the ketosis diet was developed in the first place was actually for epilepsy.
Yeah.
Over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So the health benefits, I mean, essentially it was created by medical doctors to treat a serious health issue. So this is not something like the South Beach diet or something like that. In fact, I think it would be extremely beneficial for all of you guys if you don't think of it as a diet. Think of it as a lifestyle.
Right.
Because if you get into this, if you change your food vocabulary and you get into eating like this on a regular basis, it is an incredibly healthy lifestyle. This isn't something that you need to do temporarily until you get to the weight that you want to, and then you go back to burgers and fries. That's not the plan. You want to go into eating like this and literally change your food vocabulary and eat like this 95% of the time, because this is us happy. This is how our body wants to eat. And then if you want to go out and have some treats once in a while, when you get to maintenance mode, then it's absolutely fantastic. And I want to remind you guys really quickly that the TrúKeto is not a short-term product. This is not something that you're meant to take for a short period of time and then you need to stop taking it because there's potential side effects or any of that kind of stuff, because most people think that way about diets and even think that way about a TrúKeto diet because of the negative effects that they've experienced trying to do a ketosis diet without an assistant like the TrúKeto product. So just understand that this, we've talked about this before, that this assists your body utilizing fat as energy, and it's doing it very naturally. So if you're looking for something because you're getting to that age, or say you're a busy mom and you need that extra energy, you can keep using this forever. Mm-hmm. So just understand that this is not a diet. This isn't a short-term thing where you're going to have any issues or anything like that. You can take this for as long as you want, and it is totally healthy. And just remember to couple it like fantastic products, anti-inflammatory products like the ProVita and the Immunity, because they are really going to give you what you need to help get your body out of that cortisol spike first thing in the morning, to help balance the inflammatory response from just life itself, mm-hmm. right? And I think that it would be hugely beneficial, one of our videos that we do, to really talk a little bit more about ProVita and Immunity and stuff like that, and the specifics and what the great ingredients are that are in there that are actually assisting you guys in getting into ketosis, because they are really fantastic. And I don't want you guys to forget about those, because I want you guys to understand. I did have people that were actually asking me about what supplements I was taking to get over my flu or cold or whatever it was that I had. I do not miss a day taking the ProVita. I do not miss a day. And sometimes I'll take up to 4, depending on what my brain's doing or what my body's feeling. And the Immunity, I was absolutely taking, 2, 3, 4 a day when I was feeling sick and I needed the immune support. So, I literally do not ever have those or not have them in my cupboard. I take them every single day.
Yeah. So awesome. We will do that. We'll do.
Thank you so much for joining us, you guys. And I'm absolutely going to be doing, I think I'll be doing a little bit of infographics and stuff like that to support you guys. And again, I want to remind you and encourage you, those of you guys who have been consistently using the TrúKeto and have had amazing results, please send them in to us so that I can create some amazing infographics and stuff like that for you guys to share to everyone, just to support them, because I really want you guys to have some great material to be able to use to share these amazing results. And thank you so much for joining us, Deanna.
Yeah, right.
Any of you guys who are hitting us at the tail end of it and haven't gotten a chance to see it, you can catch it on the replay. It's going to be tagged at the top of our page. And please feel free to share this everywhere.
Absolutely.
Okay? And we will be back again next week, Monday, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. Thank you so much
Daylight Saving Time. No.
Daylight Saving Time?
Pacific Daylight Saving, yeah.
Pacific Daylight, whatever. You guys know what I mean. Vancouver time. Love you lots, and we'll see you guys again next week. Bye.